There has been a ton of news recently as the offseason madness is only beginning. For starters, we have some massive Overwatch League Season 6 news that the league is currently targeting a February-March start date. This is really important. Not having a 6-month offseason again is key for retaining the momentum gained from the playoffs, which were a huge success, breaking league records for viewership. This is definitely a step in the right direction. The earlier the better. However, we do have some potentially devastating news for the league. See, Overwatch is published in China through a company called NetEase, which coincidentally owns the Shanghai Dragons. But it seems like that deal will be expiring soon, with the game being unable to be played or streamed in China beginning in January. This cuts out like 95% of the APAC viewership and kills lots of sponsors. You're going to see APAC getting crazy. Seoul and Shanghai have already confirmed they're going budget due to this. But on to the roster news. Going in alphabetical order, starting with Atlanta Reign. Huge news from them. They dropped their core of Narrow, Speedily, Ultraviolet, Venom, OG, Gator, and Kai. However, they've made up for it with huge moves. They've moved Gator to the head coach position after dropping the entire coaching staff. They poached Stalker from the Seoul Dynasty and Lip from the Shanghai Dragons. Yeah, these guys aren't fucking around. They're committed to a championship. I thought they would go mixed, but then dropping all their Western talent, which is some of the best out there, but Jesus. Stalker is probably one of the few talents that I would put above Speedily. He's a true hyperflex and showed he can compete with the best of the best in APAC, which has a monster flex DPS. And then Lip, obviously, such a huge pickup. The best hit scan in the world, and one of like only 2 or 3 players I'd say it's a definite upgrade to Kai. This DPS line puts them ahead of basically every other DPS line in NA. 2 elite players like this are kind of impossible to beat. We'll see how the other DPS lines shape up, but this is easily a championship contending DPS line. Like, any team would be salivating at this. It doesn't really get better, especially if Stalker improves more. This is already shaping up to be a pretty fantastic team. Stalker, Lip, Hawk, Vigilante. I don't think Gator will be a bad coach either. While it seems like a meme, he's long had a big leadership role in the team, and I think he's a good fit for head coach. For now, though, we'll have to see how the team patches the holes. They're off to a great start with 3 arguably 4 S-tier players, but we still gotta see the rest. Can they pick up a main support on the same level as the rest? Can Coach Gator bring the team together nicely? How will Hawk perform in a majority Korean environment? Will there be backup options? For now, I'd like to see them sign another tank, because as much as people like to call Hawk a jote, his Winston looked very rough at times. I honestly don't think they need another DPS, as Stalker is flexible enough to complement Lip in pretty much every meta. They should finish top 3 minimum with the title if they keep up the signings, but we've seen teams sign multiple superstars and still fumble. We need to see more. Next up, we have the Boston Uprising. They've released their entire roster and coaching staff, which is kind of a shame. They had some real promising talent. Seeker, Punk, Matt, and Crimson were all very promising talents that should have no trouble finding a team next year. Hell, even Faith and Victoria could find homes. I feel like Victoria was surprisingly flexible and solid. It's kind of hard to tell the direction they'll go, but it's a damn shame to see them give up some solid talent. They could have rebuilt on a Crimson, Punk, and Seeker an NA route, or around Victoria, Faith, and Mag a Korean route, but oh well. For the other guys, Valentine is solid, but it's inconsistently just far too much for the team to make up for, and it's hurt Boston a ton. MCD is solid, but probably won't be picked up. But then Itzal, I truly think he's talented, but I mean, come on. The dude lost every single map he played. That's hard to come back from. Next up, the Dallas Fuel. In an effort to make the players know their worth and test the free market, the Fuel have made, wait for it, every single player and coach on their championship roster a free agent. Wow. Now, I don't think Fuel fans have much to worry about. They seem to like playing together, and Fuel obviously wants them. But it would not surprise me at all to see Edison, Gurio, and Doha dip out of the team. It's not out of the realm possibility that someone throws the bag at one of their star players either and steals them away. Losing any of their role stars or Sparkle or Fearless would be felt badly by this team. I expect most of these guys will be re-signed, but be prepared for a tough loss and potentially a new hitscan Fuel fans. Next up to Florida Mayhem. Some heavy losses here, unfortunately. Hydron, XD, Animo, and Surmashid were let go alongside coach Daiwan. Gunma has also posted an LFT. These are tough losses, man. While XD rode the bench most of the time, Hydron had really been turning it up recently in the Sojourn, and I can't name many upgrades over him currently on the market. Animo was solid, Majed had his moments. It was an overperforming roster, but those are hard to let go of. I'm confident in some of these other players, though. Hydron was a real standout, and XD and Animo should they had the dog in them. Best of luck to them. Next up, we got the Guangzhou Charge. The only roster move so far is Krong announcing his retirement from professional Overwatch. While it's a shame to see him go, I don't think it changes too much for the Charge. They already have Piggy, who has more or less his entire hero pool, while proving superior to him, as well as having a Winston in his back pocket, and I honestly expect Charge to get Gaga or some other Chinese main tank. The Charge proved they could be top tier, having a very strong second half of the year, with more time to mesh together. I could see the Charge regaining their 2020 form. Next up, huge news from the Hangzhou Spark. The Spark have dropped Architect Bernard, Taru, and Neko, as well as coaches Changgun and Myro. However, the current rumors are that Spark are trying to go full Chinese, being deep in talks with the Hunt's previous head coach Ray, and apparently trying to pick up Leave as well. If the plans go through, however, they will be dropping Alfie and Irony. This should be a Spark fan's wet dream, for not only a team that has historically struggled with having a mixed roster, and a team that has struggled with poor coaching, to not only finally commit to one language and have the best coach in Chinese history coming along, as well as finally reuniting Shai and Leave, who is one of the 4 or 5 flags DPS that would be considered an upgrade to Alpha, is just insanity. If the deal goes through, I fully expect Spark to go after other top-notch Chinese talent. I expect Monk to find a way over here as well. Maybe a tank like Li Gei or Shou Chang. Spark fans really have a lot to be excited about. Watch them somehow fuck it up again. Next up, we have the Houston Outlaws. They dropped Doge Lep in creative, as well as assistant coach Hoi Chi Lee. Not too surprising. Doge was quite subpar, though we didn't really have great circumstances being on King. Lep was good, but the team showed they preferred Lastro, even in the Lucio role. Creative was a bit of a surprise to me, though. Maybe I think of him too highly, but I was really impressed by his Ana, Baptiste, and Kiriko play through that last year. His Zen is pretty bad, but you want Lastro on that hero anyway. There are many players in the market that I consider to be an upgrade to him. I mean, Shu and Fielder are both free agents, but I doubt they sign with Outlaws. I think it really depends on who they want to sign. If they want to go Korean, I could see them pick up, say, Fate and Twilight, or if they want to go mixed, I could see Ultraviolet OG, maybe Mikey. I think Houston is committed to the championship. There's plenty of top-tier talent to go around. Next up, we got the London Spitfire. They dropped Khan, Poco, and Shax, and are letting Sparker explore the market while still being interested. Overall, not really surprising drops. Poco and Shax are players that have been around since the dawn of time and weren't utilized too much. I would have liked to see them pick up replacements, though. Backbones, Genji, and Tracer weren't too strong, so picking up someone with that hero pool would be a boon for them. I could see them going for the Hottie solo take, though. He has the flexibility. I could see them picking up, say, Exarath. Unsure about the flex DPS, though. I think London has put themselves in a good position to succeed next year, though. They retain most of their roster. If they can retain Sparker, they still have that strong starting 5. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Gladiators. They haven't posted any official drops, however they gave an update on the contract statuses. Kevster and Funny Astro have been re-signed. Reiner, Shu, and Scoot are up for free agency, and it seems like Happy and Space were let go. While Reiner was not denied, it seems like he is going to the Toronto Defiant to play alongside the American Tornado guys, according to Halo. Also according to Halo, Kai is expected to join the Gladiators as Kevster's DPS partner. Kevster, Kai, and Funny Astro, a European stream team right there. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Do they lean fully into the European team or stay mixed? Obviously they should stay mixed. I mean, that would mean giving up fucking Shu for likely a pretty hefty downgrade. But they could still pick up some good talent. I don't think Gladiators are going to go full European, though. Kai is a side grade at worst, and it's great bud with Kevster, so the synergy should work out well. It'll be interesting to see who they pick up. I assume they re-sign Shu, maybe Scoot as well, but I could see them replacing him. The tank line is interesting. They really could sign some powerhouses, like, say, Smurf, Hanbin, Fate, or they can go for the more developmental options, such as Kellen, Mag, or Punk. The Glass have no shortage of money or ambition. They'll be alright. Next up, the Los Angeles Valiant have dropped their entire roster for the 3rd year in a row. Such a shame. They had some promise at the end and were a fun team to watch, though I can't say I'm surprised. As for the newly free agents, Lynx and Molly are both great, but it remains to be seen how APAC will shake up. I could see Molly as a backup on Sparker Charge, though. D is still a top-tier hit scan and could wind up somewhere. As Easyhan showed he can stand up to the best of the best. Becky, I think, is fantastic, but his Genji is sadly the weakest in the region, probably, and I can't really see him being a starter again. And Innovation has a really limited hero pool. Sazen is definitely not getting picked up. He's cool, but he's a borderline Zarya one-trick. Marvel, I hope, finds a team, though. His Doomfist, Sigma, and Winston were all great. I truly believe he can be a great hyperflex, given a decent team. But overall, with all the new talent coming in, I don't find places for these guys outside of the standouts in the DPS and support lines. Next up, the New York Excelsior has dropped their entire roster and coaching staff. Not unsurprising, I had some hope that they'd keep at least Kellen or Flora, but it's just not meant to be. I am not surprised, though. This roster heavily underperformed compared to their preseason expectations. Losing Yaki is a blow, but other than that, these guys won't really be missed. Best of luck to them, though. The talent is there, for realsies. Next up, the Paris Eternal have released Wubik, Crowy, Faustus, and Chamak, and have signed Empress as their new head coach. Webb, Crowley, and J-Mac were all the right moves. I want to like all these guys. I still think Webb has some promise, and J-Mac is a good coach in an environment that sadly does not suit him at all. Crowley was pretty mid, though. I'll be shocked to see any of these guys get picked up, though. Why drop Faustus, man? The dude is genuinely extremely talented, and has a great history in contenders. I thought he'd really be the guy for this team, but Empress is a huge grab. She's been highly regarded in the scene for years, worked with most of these guys before, and is incredibly accomplished in the scene. Huge pickup for them, and a big step for women in the scene as well, as she is the first female head coach in NL history. For who they'll pick up, I could see them just sticking with the four they have right now as their starting lineup. Probably picking up an NA player like Vulcan or Gig as their tank. No idea who they'll go for the 6-man. I'd love to see them go for someone like King, Sam, or even Nero, as they would all be upgrades to Malthol and Wub. But still. Next up, the Philadelphia Fusion. They have released Bellistria, Fury, AimGod, and Fixa. While it sucks to lose these guys, it was kind of necessary. AimGod, Fixa, and Bellistria are all talented, don't get me wrong. Bellistria popped off on ball, and AimGod was good in a bad time for them. If they want to be true championship contenders, they need to try to improve in these positions. Bellistria is good, but he made constant, very egregious mistakes that can't be overlooked. AimGod was good for them, but really in such a competitive position, they can definitely do better. Fixa was just kind of mid in my book. I wish they kept Fury, though. I thought he was really solid, and there aren't really too many tanks out there that are better. Though Fusion probably is something up their sleeve. All in all, though, despite surpassing expectations, a roster retooling was necessary for the Fusion to move from an upper mid-team to a true title contender. We'll have to see how they do once the signing window opens, though. Will they spend the big bucks or cut back? Next up, the San Francisco Shock has dropped Kilo, Sam, Striker, Collusion, Mikey, as well as assistant coach Kassours. Man, as much as I know what they're going for, and I know it's probably the right move, it's insane to me how you can go to grand finals, make the match incredibly competitive, and then drop over half of your roster. It just sucks, man. For who they'll pick up, it seems like Shock are heading in an all-Korean direction. It's more or less set in stone at this point that they're going to get Max and Heesang, the two top prospects and Korean contenders at their roles. Proper Heesang, Max, Finn, and Violet is already a title-contending roster. But I'd love to see them add on with a few other players. Likely Probe, Xe, hell even Heezer or Decay would fill that backup hitscan slot nicely. Then another main tank, Smurf and Fearless are who they should be going for. However, I think Mag and Kellon are two players with a ton of potential that can thrive in the right environment. Shock will likely walk out of the offseason a better team, but man, I'm going to miss everyone gone. I think Kaluj, Sam, and Mikey will all be picked up, especially with the rumor that many teams are looking to go Western. Kilo and Striker are up in the air, though. I don't think Kilo is the first option for a lot of teams out there, but he's a great backup option and could start from one of the worst off teams. Striker has shown he is good enough to compete at top level, but tier pool is pretty small, and he's had issues outside of Krusty's system. I hope he finds a team, but sadly, I'm not totally sure. Striker are looking extremely good right now. They have a great core and coaching staff. Next up, the Seoul Dynasty. The Seoul Dynasty have dropped Smurf, Fitz, Vindame, and Iris, and lost Soccer to the Rain, as well as coaches MMA and Bone Worry. Worth noting is that Profit is also currently being shopped around for a trade as well. This is massive. Another championship tier team totally blown up. This is mainly due to APAC being questionable according to the GM, but it's just staggering that a team can let such star players go. Fitz is still a borderline top 5 hit scan. Smurf I would honestly say is the best tank in the world. Vindame is a top 3 mid support with a nasty flex support, and Iris has been upper half this year. All of them are incredibly high caliber players that should be finding teams next year, unless the overall situation with the league screws them. As for who they pick up, I really don't know. The APAC situation is too up in the air to say anything. I don't know what kind of players they're going to look for. Next up, Shanghai Dragons. They have like a Fleto, Huryu, Fate, Void, Lijigon, Bebe, and Bebe, as well as coaches Damon and Pevin, as well as losing Lip to the Rain, and also dropping Izayaki. Truly the end of an era. One of the most dominant teams in Overwatch history, the roster that turned around the Dragons' disastrous franchise reputation. Now most of it is gone. Worth noting that Fleta and Void are confirmed retiring, but the rest are all LFT. Huryu I like, I really do, but his hero pool is insanely limited, and unless Genji gets some serious buffs, I can't see him being picked up by some 12-man roster as a specialist. Maybe it was not impressive at all, sadly. I doubt he gets picked up, but he always does somehow. For the others, I think they have a shot. I know people are low on Fate after the disaster that was Playoffs Dragons, but in a dive meta, he's shown to be very capable on the Winston and Ball. Lee Jae-gon had a down year, but is still a very strong main support, and got to flex his flex supports a bit as well. I think these two have a good chance of being picked up. But this really is the end of an era. All the dragons gone. Of course, I can't really choose players. It just seems like they'll hit the restart button and are going to go budget. Tragic situation, but hopefully they come out of it stronger. Even on a budget, they are a very highly regarded organization. Next up, we have the Toronto Defiant. They've dropped their entire roster and coaching staff, hired Chris Horton is shocked to be their new assistant coach, and have picked up the American Tornado Corps, consisting of Speedily, Sam, Hydron, Reiner, Kaluge, Ultraviolet, and OG. This is honestly pretty huge. I'm so happy to see them all together in the league. Let's see if the claim that they'd be a top 5 in the league holds up. I don't think it will, but still. I think this is an upgrade over the previous roster, which was already the best roster they've fielded yet. The DPS line is a solid upgrade, and the tank is a gargantuan upgrade, like night and day. The support line would probably be considered by most to be a downgrade, but I have a lot of faith in Ultraviolet and OG. I think they'll be a side grade, but this should be a very competitive roster with most of the league. I'm just hoping that the mid-Toronto Defiant curse does not curse them yet again. Next up, the Vancouver Titans have dropped King, Mirror, False, Aztec, Mesa, and Sky Ripa, as well as head coach Deepay picking up Adskoft as the replacement. It's tragic, but the right move. The Titans really did have an interesting year. Awful first half, but picked it up in the second half with some great coaching by Deepay. But this is most likely the best move. Aspire was easily their star player, and so rebuilding around him was a given. I honestly don't see many of these guys getting picked up by actual contenders teams. Though the rumor of many NA teams wanting to go full NA, I could see a few of these guys getting picked up like King or False. But man, I hope Deepay finds a team. He was massive for them, and turning a 0-13 team to an actually competitive roster without big roster changes obviously proves his worth. I hope the best for these guys, but I really think Adskoft is an underrated pickup. He did quite a lot for Boston in their second half of the year, making them a solid upper-middle team by the end, though they flopped out of play-ins. I think he's a downgraded Deepay, but the people acting like the Titans season is over due to this are overreacting. Finally, the Washington Justice has released their entire roster and coaching staff. The decay on Justice era has finally come to an end. This is not surprising, though. With the Justice cutting back spending last year, this has been coming. I think all these players could potentially get picked up, though. All of them had flashes of brilliance last year, though Assassin being benched until he literally could not be does not help. DK proved he could be a hyperflex and had a fantastic sojourn. Callius was solid all year. And Krell and Opener proved to be a rather formidable backline. I could see Krell back at Fusion to rejoin the T1 crew. Opener could be a good low-budget option, and DK could wind up anywhere. I wouldn't worry too much about these guys, but please fucking no one pick up Supreme. And there we have it. The off-season madness is just getting started. Thanks for watching. Remember to hit like and subscribe for more. I upload almost daily Overwatch League videos. I will try to upload more videos. I apologize for the very long break. Sorry guys, I've been busy. But thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see you all in the next one.